I'm David Marsh. Welcome to Exploring the Human Journey.
Exploring the Human Journey.
All my life, I've had this connection to crystals and the mineral kingdom. So I remember one day going to my altar and just lighting a candle and saying a prayer and saying, God, if I am meant to be a professional intuitive, if I am meant to do this as a business and support myself, please help me with a name already. Send this to me. It's been years that I've been looking for a name and it's not happening. So I remember I was actually sitting right here, and it was right after a meditation. And I was just kind of sitting down, just breathing, and without any notice, I heard a voice in my left ear whisper, "Crystal queer." And I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. Crystal queer, that makes so much sense. It totally plays into my love for crystals and me being such a queer. So I instantly kind of jumped on, checked if it was available online. And I remember even then kind of some fear set in because my prayers were answered. I knew that now that I had a business name, it was time to do this. I believe crystals are little gems from Pachamama, from Mother Earth, that exist in part to help human ascension and to help all of us unlock that eternal, timeless piece of ourselves, just like these little crystals are. Another thing that really resonates with me at a deep soul level is energy healing. And I feel like that plays into the work with crystals so beautifully, because crystals are living beings. They do have a life force. They are emanating a consciousness, an intelligence, a healing vibration. And if we choose to tap into that, we can use these crystals, these little gems from Mama Earth, to really help in our evolution, our ascension process, whatever you want to call it, to be the best versions of ourselves. I'll invite my client to just really get comfortable, to sit and just see how they are also guided to use these crystals. Where do they feel this selenite wants to be in their field? Where do they feel an amethyst is most comfortable on their body? And if someone's uncomfortable with that or doesn't want to access that kind of intuition, that's fine. I'll go ahead and follow my guidance. But it's amazing to see how people have an innate understanding of how crystals are medicinal. Crystals are healing. Crystals open up a realm, if you allow them to, that really connects us with our higher selves and with our higher guidance.
Hi and welcome. I'm so glad you joined us today. My special guest today is Michael Sclafani. And this is an amazing episode because he is an intuitive healer. He is also crystal queer, and he has joined us today. He's starting a smudge process. Michael, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, David. I'm so happy to be here.
It's going to be fun. Talk about the smudge, the sage. Talk about clearing.
Absolutely. You know, sage is super sacred to me. I have a few herbs that I work with, that I smudge with, Palo Santo being one of them, which is a sacred wood from the Amazon. But sage has been used for thousands of years to cleanse the space. It's said that demons or lower energies can't exist in sage smoke. Not that I really follow that school of thought, but whenever I begin a session, I always sage the space. And I find that, you know, it's scientifically proven. I love those words.
Yep. Give me a little bit right here.
Yeah, get in here. Here we go. Get over the crown. Perfect.
Yep.
Yeah, it's scientifically proven that sage really does have so many benefits. It kills bacteria in the air up till, I believe, 24 hours.
Oh, cool.
I want to say 24 hours. I'm not sure. I'm not a science person, as you can tell. But I do feel such a difference after I've saged the space, and I feel like it really sets the space for some sacred work to be done. And, you know, I've noticed after disagreements or even arguments or any kind of negative, high intensity emotional energy, you can sense that kind of lingering. And after I sage, I notice how the whole environment just kind of comes to peace and resets, so to speak. So that's my intention right now, that we can reset the space, remove any jitters or nerves, because I get a little nervy sometimes on camera, and kind of call in good energy, our ancestors, our angels, and our authentic selves.
Yeah,
right now.
that's good. When we created that feature video, you did a sage session beforehand, and it just brings that clarity, brings that clearing. And then you started to step into your modalities. I loved the tarot. We didn't get a chance to put it on the feature video, but you had such accurate points in that. You did some Reiki, you did some toe reading on me, you just felt the energy, and you gave me wisdom, you gave me some messages that were amazing. So talk about your journey that you're having, the things that you do. Who are you? What do you do? Tell me about Michael, this character that you're playing this time around.
Yeah, absolutely. Right? Good question.
Yeah.
Some days I don't even know, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, the tarot is such a powerful tool for me. One thing I've learned with the tarot is that it gives a voice to the unknown. It gives a voice to the other side. And I picked up this deck actually when I was 10 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, my mother's friend actually left it at our house, and it was in a drawer for a couple of years, and I picked it up when I was in Catholic school, which of course didn't go over too well.
I want to hear
as you
more
can
about
imagine.
that. Yeah.
But I remember looking at these images and just thinking, wow, this is such a magical thing right here. Whatever it is, I didn't know anything about it, but I could feel the magic just kind of all around these cards.
Yeah.
And so, 20 years later, I'm using them and I have a relationship with them, and it's amazing what comes through the tarot. I think I recommend it to everybody. If you're of a certain consciousness and if you have good intentions, I think the tarot can be such an amazing tool for evolution.
Yep. Yeah, I've talked with people that use it as a tool, and there's such this beautiful presence, this message, the spirit realm has the opportunity to help in creating that message, if you will, from the other side, or wherever that connection is with your spirit guides and all that. And so when you were throwing the cards down, you're like, oh, I see this. It wasn't this interesting. You're just like nail. I'm like, yeah, personal thing. Yeah. So I went ahead and told you, well, actually, you're really accurate.
I'm glad that happened, because I don't remember anything we talked about. That happens to me all the time in readings. I'll just be like, okay, good. I'm glad that resonated for you, because I have no idea what the heck I said. But that's how it works, you know. And the universe is always speaking to us.
Yeah.
That's one thing I've come to realize through synchronicity, is that the universe is always talking. It's up to us to shut up and listen. But the cards are one way we can use applied synchronicity, or kind of take synchronicity into our own hands quite literally, and shuffle and ask for messages. And it never ceases to amaze me, the accuracy and the deep healing that can come when you're seeking for the truth and really looking for it. You'll find it.
So even to that synchronicity, you had mentioned on the way here, you were seeing angel numbers. Tell me about that.
Absolutely, all the way down. You know, as you know, I came here with my momager, and I love my mother so much.
Your
We're
mother manager is
soulmates.
your momager.
She's my momager, and she's a powerful, powerful force in this world. And sometimes she can be powerfully frustrating at times. But just when we were having a conversation, I think, you know, I was driving and she was telling me that I was driving too fast or something that mothers do. And I got kind of frustrated and I was like, okay, this was a big mistake. Why did I invite you? And then I took a breath and right in front of me was 444 on the license plate in front of me. And the angels love talking me through license plates. I'm totally open to that.
Yeah.
But it was kind of, what I've noticed is that the moment I need it the most is when I'll get the sign and the symbol. So rather than following down a trail of frustration or being agitated, right at that moment when I had that choice to become agitated and angry, or to just take a damn breath, I saw that 444. And then on the way down, I kept seeing, as a matter of fact, at the very moment, and I didn't plan this at a conscious level, but at the very moment I started calling in the archangels. I always call in the archangels, the 4 major archangels, before I do any kind of reading or session: Gabriel, Raphael, Michael, and Uriel. And as soon as I started calling in the angels, I looked up and I was at exit 44. So those things happen all the time, you know, as many people watching will know and understand. But
tap you on the shoulder. Hey, look, huh? What? You got me.
It's those tiny little taps, those little nudges that let you know that you're still on track and that all is well. So
you're still on track. I love the
Still on track.
synchronicities. Those are the little messages. Hey, you're doing good. Keep going. You're on the right path.
Exactly. Like, take a breath. That's another thing. The angels remind me to breathe all the time, because It's funny because I teach meditation to people and I help corporate professionals find their center and kind of breathe.
Beautiful, yeah.
And I'll forget all the time to breathe. I'll forget all the time. So it's like I need that little reminder from the universe. So the universe really does have your back. And through numbers, through signs, through all different types of nudges.
Yeah.
If you're open to it, you'll be able to realign rather quickly. So
I love breath. I learned about breath work from my yoga instructor, Golveg. And Golveg said, oh, you've got to meet Michael Sclafani. And so you had a fun story. If you will, share a little bit about your Sweetheart connection and how Golveg and you had an interaction.
Oh my goodness. First of all, Golveg is one of my heroes, I have to tell you.
Mine too.
Really, she's
awesome.
amazing. Golveg, if you're watching, thank you. Namaste, my friend. Namaste. Love you so much. She's taught me so much. I've had the honor of assisting her for intuitive guidance classes over this last year or so. And each and every time I spend time with that divine goddess, I learn something new, as I'm sure you're aware of.
Yeah.
But it's funny because when I started at Sweeha, I just moved back from LA and I was kind of in a self-discovery phase. I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know if I wanted to go back to school. I wasn't quite sure and I was debating and kind of just going back and forth in my mind, just in my ego, really. And I remember sitting down at the Sweeha in the admissions building with Golveg. She was my admissions advisor. And I remember I was like, I'm still not sure about this whole thing, if I really want to do this. And I'll never forget, she took the paperwork that I was about to sign. She was like, well, then maybe you're just not ready and it's not your time. And she pulled the paperwork back and my ego was like, oh yeah? And I remember slamming my hand on the front and saying, give me that. And I signed right there. And that's how my Sweetheart journey began. So she was really the catalyst for me to make a damn decision and commit to something. And after 3 or 4 times of going after different degrees, that was finally the first time that I actually completed a degree. So my degree in transformational psychology is one of my proudest moments, my proudest achievements in life thus far, for sure.
Oh, that's such a good story. And there's so many good connections that people have learned and have grown. I've had the opportunity to take yoga teacher training, and I've done some hypnotherapy classes with Linda Bennett. Sweeha is amazing. I love the atmosphere there. I love the training. People get an opportunity to connect with intuition there, which is not taught at normal educational facilities. So how has your experience been? You talked about the intuitive class that you were working with.
Yes.
How has your integration into that been with the Sweeha, the school?
I mean, the school changed my life. Sweeha truly changed my life. Talk about finding your tribe, finding your people. And to this day, I actually worked, funny enough, in the admissions department as well for about a year.
So then fast forward down the road and you're on the other side.
So many connections.
You ever pull that trick?
I never went that far with people, no, but I did give people tours of the campus all the time. And one thing that really kind of clicks you back to reality, because when we do find our tribe and we are with our people, sometimes we forget how challenging it can be to be a budding intuitive or a budding energy healer or just a bright, shiny soul that doesn't have the support. And when you meet people that come into the halls of Sweeha for the first time and are like, oh my God, they're in tears because they're like, I found my people, other people that don't think I'm crazy. You forget that that was once you as well, I remember those times where I couldn't talk about tarot cards with people or talk about, having psychic dreams. And then meeting my tribe at Sweeha and having hundreds of people that you can connect with.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's people that are so isolated. So to see that change in people when they come in and it's like they found their home warms my heart each time. So that's what Sweeha, more than anything, and I've learned so much through Sweeha. But more than anything, I am so grateful for the community that it fosters and that it really facilitates. It's priceless.
Yeah, we were doing a hypnotherapy class, and the lady, we were in small groups, and she said, it is so great to come to a space where we have a shared belief system of there is more going on here than meets the eye. This is a spiritual journey. And she said a lot of her friends and family are like, no, you're born, you pay some bills, you die, and that's the end of it. And she's like, no, there's more going on here. And it's just such a great narrative to feel that energy around people like that.
It is. And, having somebody to talk about that with, because especially because it is somewhat invisible, these other dimensions and realms. You feel like a crazy person talking about them. I remember thinking that angels were just porcelain figurines in my grandmother's china closet,
Yeah.
you know, and then lo and behold, years later, fast forward, working with angels on a daily basis, having angels influence my life so much. And it wouldn't have been possible if I didn't have people that I could speak to about my beliefs and, you know, and be able to have a discussion about differing beliefs and hold space for that rather than fear judgment for being able to speak your truth or hear someone speak their truth that maybe didn't align with your truth. So it's a beautiful thing to have a space to just share your truth.
Yeah.
Really, it is. And it leads to so much spiritual evolution and growth.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
Now, one thing that I really love about your business is you have the moniker Crystal Queer.
Yes.
And you present it in a way that it's not necessarily designed around sexuality. It's designed around the not feeling necessarily that you're fitting in a situation, because we can all have that feeling, a little queer feeling, and then you do integrate your sexuality. So talk about kind of that whole impetus of how you came up with the name. I guess, you know, you had an intuitive hit, you tell us that, but how you've incorporated that feeling of it's not necessarily about sexuality, but you've incorporated that. So kind of give some context there.
One thing that really stopped me from being a professional for so long was because I didn't know how to market myself. I didn't really have a name. For a while I used Messenger Michael because I thought that was the most accurate, simple term.
You should have
there
used
was.
Archangel. That would have been great.
You know, and I played around with a bunch of stuff, and I was like, well, technically, I'm a messenger. I do these readings, and my name's Michael Messenger Michael. Why not? But
People
again,
might confuse you with the other guy. That's, you know,
exactly, and that's definitely not the case. If you spent any amount of time with me, you know I'm not an archangel. So, you know, so that didn't really stick. But I remember coming out of Sweeha and playing around with business names and just being kind of frustrated because at a deeper level, I didn't know who I was. And I feel like even now I've given myself permission to not really know. I don't know who I am at the deepest levels.
Yeah.
I know just enough. I know what I need to know to move forward and to help people and to know who I am at the core, even if I don't know consciously who that is, if that makes sense.
Well, you're still on that journey. You're still working.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's still unfolding. But I remember sitting, I lit a candle and I asked the universe, I was like, if I'm meant to have a business, give me a name because I'm frustrated. I don't know how to market myself. And I heard Crystal Queer being whispered in my ear a little bit later. And I knew that that was where I was going. And, you know, I'm not the only Crystal Queer out there. There are Crystal Queer brands out there.
Yeah.
There's actually a group of trans kids, transgender children on YouTube that kind of share their stories. They go by the name Crystal Queer. I've noticed there is a fierce drag queen by the name of Crystal Queer. Okay. Would never dare to compete with her, honey. Never in a million years. We share the name, but that's it. I'm not trying to take anything away from there. And what I've noticed is that
Be your proud self.
Absolutely, baby. Do you. But I think Crystal Queer came to me to connect with those souls. It's as if there's a crystal queer intelligence.
It's like a consciousness, isn't it?
It has its own consciousness, absolutely. And most people that do connect with crystals are a bunch of queers, let's be honest. You know, they're not your average Joe. That is changing. But I found this beauty in being queer. And, you know, the definition, the original use of queer was something that's weird, strange, odd, unique. And that's how I've been all my life. And long before anything sexual, so to speak, I knew I was queer. I mean, that's a lot of my journey. A lot of my story is feeling like I just never fit in, feeling like I was always different and I never understood why. And I see now empathic children coming into the world and just, you can sense that they don't know where they belong. They feel queer.
Yeah.
And so one of my messages that I want to bring to the world is, honey, once you get past that queer feeling, that initial weirdness and strangeness of feeling like you don't belong, it becomes your greatest strength to embrace your queer. And everybody, like you said, is a little queer.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. Everyone's a little queer. Nothing to do with sexuality. Although that might be the case too. I don't know. They say it's all a spectrum, but there's definitely a queer spectrum in everyone. And I think at this day and age, in our time, one of the best things that we can do is to embrace what makes us different. You know, we didn't come here to be sheeple. You know, if we came here to be sheep, we'd be in a field with the other sheep.
Yeah.
No disrespect to sheep. They're incredible creatures, okay? But we came here to be human beings. And part of that journey is being queer and embracing what makes you queer. So I'm all about being weird out there and doing whatever makes you tick, whatever turns you on. That's what the game is about.
Beautiful. Now give me some context of a kid in Catholic school that's coming to grips with who he is as a person and who he's being told by his external world. Give me that context.
Oh yeah. You know, I didn't hate Catholic school. I want to put that out there. It was definitely a learning experience. But, you know, I look back fondly on the memories, being able to sing in the halls, walking to church, although church wasn't my favorite pastime, but it's kind of, you know, I don't know if you've ever been to a Catholic mass.
I have.
It can be a little boring sometimes, depending on which church you go to.
Yep.
But ours was very traditional, very like, you know, sit, stand, kneel, sit, stand, kneel.
Well, at least you got something to do, you know.
Physical activity, if nothing else. But I didn't really connect spiritually. I remember looking up at Jesus on the cross and just, you know, seeing this guy dying and tortured and thinking, this is what God is, this is spirituality. Right. You know, I never made that connection. So I always felt wrong or shameful in that aspect that, you know, these other people are finding God and having this religious experience with this man bleeding to death on a cross. And that's not really my thing. And so not being able to resonate on that level. And it was really, what's funny, years later, after embracing my queerness, after embracing my witchiness, that I have a relationship with Jesus. It didn't really come through my Catholic school upbringing. So different strokes for different queers, right? I mean, you know, you got to follow your own path and your own drummer, so to speak. But Catholic school, looking back, I was always that kid that was playing with a Ouija board at recess or bringing in little spell books with my, you know, my holy books, my religion books, and just kind of like towing the edge there. And when I found my tarot cards, I just felt like, oh God, I remember someone telling me, you know, I remember I was wearing a beautiful pendant I found, and a woman telling me, she said, you know, Michael, every time you wear that pendant, you are being brought closer to the devil.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was a kid, I was like, I know, okay. And I just kind of skipped away, but thinking like, ugh, that does not feel good. Telling me that I'm, you know, growing closer to the devil. What is that?
Yeah.
And so it took all of those little remarks, all of those little kind of scoldings to figure out, you know what, that idea of God doesn't feel good to me. That doesn't. I would much rather find my own way, and I felt a lot better once I did kind of develop my own way to connect.
Well, that religious context, that Jesus on the cross, that always meant to me, oh, he had to die in his substitutionary atonement for me because I'm not worthy. So the narrative I was given my entire life was, you're not worthy, you have sin, you're not good enough, you can't be with God, and so somebody somewhere else has to do something for you. Which means, well, I'm a burden to God. Wow. So then Jesus becomes a solution to my problem. So he had to die because of me. I'm like, whoa. So you're just given this shame and this guilt.
That'll make you feel good.
Oh, yeah. And then I'm told, Jesus loves you so much. If you were the only person on earth, he still would have came and had to be murdered by God so that he could die for you. That's how much he loves you. I'm like, wow. Well, then why even have me? What's the point?
That's what I mean. If someone crucified me for you, I wouldn't love you.
I'd be pissed all the
That's
time.
what I mean. I'd
Do you know
haunt
what
your
I
ass.
did? I would haunt your ass.
Yeah,
That's funny.
And again, seeing where that all comes from and how that stemmed from looking back in religious texts and the tradition, I get it. I get why it took on that form. But I think in every religion or any kind of man-made connection to spirit, we have to evolve. We have to change.
Yes.
And I feel like that's where there's a problem. If at one time in history, feeling like there was a man that would give his life for you, that would sacrifice himself on the cross for your sins, felt good or served a purpose, then that's beautiful.
There's no greater love that one man die for another, and that was given that context.
If that
what
worked,
a sacrifice.
You know, then that's beautiful. But I think in this day and age, it's changing, and that doesn't take anything away from your connection with Jesus or your beliefs. But do we really have to believe that we are sinners? Do we really have to believe that we are inherently bad people and that being different is a bad thing? I think that's the whole name of the game.
Yeah.
That's why we're all here in different bodies. Otherwise, we could have stayed up there and been an energy block.
No, there's something that our souls want to accomplish and to have experienced. And so I, having done this study and research of what this whole soul process is about, I've come across enough material to let me know I chose to come here. I designed a pathway. I picked my parents. I chose to have a religious context. So I no longer hold that energy of victimhood. It was against my will and I was taught these things. And no, I chose this life path. So there's something that is beautiful to come out of that fear-based construct of you have to have your eyes closed to the world because it might infect you with the devil, to be able to go, we're all part of the divinity of the godness. We're all here to experience and enjoy. And there's nothing you can do to mess this life up. You're here to experience and explore this human journey. And that's a beautiful place to be.
And already just listening to you say that, my body has a physical reaction. I kind of like loosen up a little bit. It's like, true that. True that. It's just like you resonate with it. And then we wonder why there's so many people being brought up in these religious, dogmatic traditions and why people are so bent out of shape. You know, the threat of hell looming over you. It doesn't matter how good you are. If you feel like you can mess it up and go to hell, that doesn't make for a very enjoyable life.
And I've even extrapolated. I've talked to folks that went like, well, if I'm going to end up in hell, then I'm taking as many people with me. And, you know, screw God and screw anybody that likes him. I'm going to kill people. I'm going to hurt. I'm going to steal from them because they already have this energy of like, I'm a bad person. You're not a bad person. You're just here to have an experience. So you get to choose. Do you want to live in that type of energy? Do you want to live in love and freedom of choice and freedom of forgiveness? So it's totally a different mindset.
It is like that. That's why we come here, right? To experience that duality. So I think part of our religious upbringings, for as scarring and traumatic as they can be, it's also a gift. It is a gift, especially if you are open to transcending the, you know, what's outdated, what's not true. Looking back, I'm so grateful for all those people that told me I was going to hell. I'm so grateful for all of the people that told me I was doing evil things, because it helped me see their fear for what it was. And to understand, if you are human, if you are here on the planet at this time, you are divinity. You have divinity in you. And even though we all have got a dark side, you know, we're all humans, we are capable of such beautiful and such terrible things. In the end, it is about the love. We are loved, and we can connect with that whenever we want to.
Oh, it's so good. So you also have the connection with crystals, and you have this beautiful, the way you phrased it, you said for, you know, thousands of years, people have grown plants and herbs, and they're like, oh, there's things about these beautiful plants that you can integrate into your body, whether you're ingesting it or using it. What makes you think crystals that have been here for millions of years can't do the same thing? And you said there's an energy there, and I had never thought about that before. Talk a little bit about the energy, the things you've learned from crystals. Tell the story about picking up the tourmaline.
Black tourmaline.
Tell that story. It was amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, and I get it. Listen, for as much as I am a woo-woo wonder, okay? I love being woo-woo, from the turbans and the chains and all of that, honey. Give it to me, I'll drink it up.
I love it, man.
I do, I love it. It's a part of me. It's what gets me excited. Okay.
Well, I told you your turban's amazing. It does make you look a little gay, though.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I was worried about that, because sometimes you do like a very tightly wrapped, straighter looking turban, and it doesn't have the same effect.
I'm just saying.
So I got a little height with, like, you know, a little Marie Antoinette inspired action here. But yeah, every time my turban is different. Whenever I wrap a turban, it never has the same life force.
Oh, wow.
And it's kind of like crystals. You know, crystals have their own life force. So do turbans, honey. Let me tell you. But one thing I've learned with crystals, and it's only recently that I look at crystals and I see them as living entities. Even when I had a fascination with crystals, I thought they were just pretty rocks. You know, I didn't really understand the consciousness aspect of crystals. But the more I learn and the more my consciousness expands, I understand how crystals are used in technology. Crystals, this interview wouldn't be possible. We wouldn't be able to share it with the world without the use of quartz, without the use of crystal technology. And then the more you kind of go down the rabbit hole of awareness, you see that back in the day, in the Atlantean times, in the Lemurian times, I mean, these were cultures that understood the power of crystals.
What do you know about the Lemurian and Atlantean crystal connection? That's fascinating to me.
One thing I do know is that crystals, that's where I realize crystals are living.
Oh.
Seeing how they've used crystals for healing. And I understand that Atlanteans, and again, I'm just now really going back to that time. I believe that I did have a past life in Atlantis.
Oh.
In fact, a friend of mine gifted me with a crystal, a stone, a gem that's called Atlantisite. And it's actually used for reconnecting with past lives. And for me, when I held it, I instantly had a flash of Atlantis.
Ooh.
I know. Pretty cool stuff.
Yeah.
But I saw what looked to be this beautiful building. It felt like a library or like a place of wisdom just imploding with water. And in any case, it made me realize that many of us have experienced life in Atlantis.
Yeah.
In fact, I forget who said it. I think right now on the planet, many of us have had incarnations in Atlantis, Lemuria, in ancient Egypt. I mean, that kind of next level use of, they were using crystals in their technology. They understood more than I do in this life, in this incarnation, how to utilize crystalline energy. But I believe that's what's happening on the planet right now. Because we are coming back to that understanding and back to that intelligence that you can use these natural gems for not only technological advancement, but spiritual advancement on the path toward enlightenment. So as far as what I understand how Atlantis used their crystals, I would have to do a regression and go back and try to get the blueprints.
Well, I need you to go get your PhD and come back and tell
Absolutely,
me. Right?
I will. And that's another thing that I've made peace with is that I don't know how crystals work. I mean, you can go into the piezoelectric properties and all of these scientific terms, but as soon as I start going down that path, I get a little bit bored.
You've got this shelf with crystals, and you could feel, and then you said sometimes you have other people pick out what crystals feels right. And then when you had me laying on the table when you were doing an energy session, you're like, I feel here, I feel here. I had some in my hands. I had some smaller ones along my body, and you could feel like there's some energy here. Let's work with this.
Absolutely. I remember clearly that celestite wanted to be on your heart. So that would tell me metaphorically, intuitively, that you are an earth angel, my friend.
Wow.
You have the heart of an angel. So for celestite to want to go to your heart area, I mean, it's organic and different for everyone, where different crystals want to be in different areas of their aura or in different, being held or near different parts of their body. It's kind of like you got to go with the flow of each session. But I have friends that are very well versed in what each crystal does and how it works and the geologic, if that's a word, properties.
The kind of the scientific geological properties.
This is made mostly of a schist and a granite and this, and I'm just like, that's cool. Like, I want to know.
You can't even BS it through. You don't know enough about it.
I can't even pretend.
I love it.
I can't even pretend.
But you know what you know.
But I know what I know.
You can feel it.
And crystals can talk to you.
Yeah.
And I remember when I first started doing readings when I lived in LA, I read at a crystal shop, and I met this woman, and she was clearly queer. And she was telling me that, she really doesn't like hanging out with people. She would much rather hang out and talk to her crystals. And so even though I was there giving tarot readings and believing that I was intuitive and a psychic, I still thought this woman was nuts. Let's be honest. I was like, yeah, okay, honey, you go talk to your crystals. Okay, sure. But then the more I work with crystals, the more I realize they do speak to you. If you will listen to them, just like if you'll listen to the universe, just like if you'll listen to someone's energy, you'll get information. And yes, you do feel crazy. You feel crazy at the beginning, during that transition into becoming more of a multi-dimensional being versus a skin and bones, that's all there is kind of existence. You feel a little nuts, and that's a normal part of it. But I remember this woman telling me about how she spoke to her crystals and how her crystals would give her answers. And I'm like, okay. Meanwhile, I'm shuffling a deck of cards and getting answers from it. It's not that much more real life, but the more I spend time with crystal energies, the more I realize it's like an onion. You can go so deep. Like today, this is the crystal that told me it wanted to come, my crystal ball.
Wow.
And when I say that, people ask me like, what do you mean the crystal told you it wanted to come with you today? Or what do you mean it spoke to you? And as I'm just getting in preparation for a session or for an interview, I'll connect with my crystals. I'll connect with my crystal cabinet and I'll just think, crystals, which one of you wants to come today? And it's funny because crystal balls on the way down here, I was like, oh, that's why you wanted to come. Crystal balls are known for helping energy flow between people. So if ever you have like an important meeting, or if you want communication to flow easily and effortlessly, it's a good idea to bring a sphere with you because energy is flowing equally around the sphere. There's no corners or points. So energy is flowing equally in all directions, which helps keep a flow in conversation, a flow in people's energies. They're great to bring to board meetings or for negotiations, just to put in the middle of everybody because it will help the flow move. So it's often after the fact that I'll realize, that's why that crystal wanted to come, or that's why this crystal wanted to show up on this person's heart today, or show up for the reading. I do weekly readings on Facebook, and I will have no idea which crystal I'm going to feature until that morning or the night before. And I'll ask the crystals, I'll say, crystals, which one of you wants to come? And I'll just give myself a few minutes to let them speak to me. And they have a consciousness because they will speak to you, and you will see, sense, or feel which crystal wants to be featured, which crystal is most appropriate for the time that we're experiencing right now. And then I'll Google before I do my Facebook Live because, again, I don't know all of the ins and outs of crystals. I just know that they work. And then I will be astounded when I see what the crystal represents or what it's believed to do for someone, and then the astrology of what's going on at the time, and which cards come out. They all work in this beautiful harmony. So I tell people when they're choosing crystals, or if they don't know where to start with crystals, just trust yourself. Go to the crystal shop, go on Amazon or eBay or wherever you buy crystals, and just look at them and just feel which ones you like, which ones are prettiest to you, which name of the crystal calls to you. You don't need to know what it does. Crystals do so many things that we're unaware of. Just trust yourself, because if you're truly trusting yourself, you will end up with the right crystal.
Oh, so good. So you placed some little black ones up near the sides of me, and you said they were good for kidneys and things like that.
Mookaite jasper.
Okay.
Yes.
So you know that there are certain things that feel vibrational, and when you say they're speaking to you, you're feeling this intuitive hit. So give presence to that intuition that you're lining up with.
Absolutely. So, I mean, the only way I could describe it is like if I hold a crystal, okay, and I hold it in my hands, and let's say it's a crystal, I don't know what the heck it is. I just picked it up because it was pretty. I'll hold it in my hands, and I'll ask the crystal, okay, this is where it gets a little clearer. I'll say, okay, crystal, talk to me. What is it that you can do for me? So right now, not even truly, intending to ask this guy right here, but instantly I see this clear force field around me, as if my energy, my aura is being cleared. That's how the crystals speak to me. In fact, I remember, what was the stone I was picking up? Basamba? Anyway, it's a certain jasper, and she's like, have you ever worked with this? And I said, no, let me see it. And she's like, what do you get from this? Just I'm curious. And I held it, and I was like, what do I get from you? And I felt like I got this image that it was repairing holes in my aura, and that it was grounding me, and that it was helping me to leave unwanted energy behind me. And so I give it a Google, which I often do for my crystals. Thanks God for Google.
Thanks God.
Thanks be to Google. I Googled it, and it was like, word for word, what I was feeling was what other people have experienced. And I always wonder, well, who gets to decide what crystals do? When you look up amethyst, who's the person that's like, yes, an amethyst does this and this and this?
I know.
Who gets that job? Because that would be cool. But it's almost like a compilation throughout the ages of people. crystals have a tradition. Crystals have a history. There are some new crystals like Atlantisite, what I was just talking about. That's a pretty recent find. But there are crystals that have been used throughout antiquity and have different associations, myths, folklore associated with them. So you got to take it with a grain of salt. But ultimately, if you hold that crystal in your hand, I like to hold it in my left hand because I believe the left side is the receiving side.
Okay.
And I will feel on some level what that crystal is doing for me. So it's a very intuitive process. And then again, some people might have a totally different method to connecting with crystals. You know, there are some people that maybe are just more tactile and might feel a warmth in their hands when they're connecting with the crystals, and that's how they know that that crystal is for them. You've got to know yourself. You've got to know your own brand of queer to be able to use it.
That's good.
And that's when it really gets interesting and you start being able to tap in. You know, the answers are inside of you.
So. It's good. Sweet Lady Gail loves crystals, and we've discovered that in Quartzsite, Arizona, there's a big store called Gem World, and so we've been in there, and she's like a kid in a candy store running through collecting different rocks and gems and crystals. It's amazing.
Oh, I've got to go.
Yeah, it's quite a place. You guys can plan a day trip. It'll be good.
We're going to need a few days. We'll need a few days. Yeah, absolutely. Love Sweet Lady Gail, by the way.
So she's amazing.
She really is amazing.
She's my favorite person.
Yeah.
So tell me about the tourmaline, the black tourmaline.
So in class at SWIHA, I was in an Ayurveda class, and we went to Black Market Minerals.
Ayurveda. Is it?
Ayurveda, yes. God, I wish I could.
That's like a holistic.
It is.
Health.
It is. God, there's a way to define Ayurveda. All my Ayurveda friends that are watching this are like, it's the science but it's a system. I can't even think. I mean, I can't even think Ayurveda.
Well,
my
okay.
God, can we get a Google for Ayurveda, please? What does that mean? But basically, it's Indian in origin, I believe.
I believe that's accurate.
I hope so. Otherwise, I seem like a real. Anyway, I believe it's an Indian system of wellness. Ayurveda is like a wellness system that's ancient, using different foods, spices, different colors. You know, you can use color therapy in Ayurveda. Like if you're wearing this beautiful blue today, that's doing something for your energy.
My eyes pop, doesn't it?
It really does. Gorgeous, my friend. Gorgeous.
I'm telling you.
So Ayurveda encompasses like all of life with the foods you're eating, different doshas that you have, like different constitutions.
Yeah.
And so one of the aspects
I think you just made up for all your friends that were going to be upset, but I think they're good now.
Did I save it a little bit?
I remembered
the doshas.
Hit it. I think you did.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
I'm with you. So keep going.
Good. So enough to fake it through. Ayurveda. Google it. It's amazing. Okay. But it really is a beautiful system. And I remember I was doing an Ayurvedic cleanse. And on this cleanse, you eat what's called kachari. And it's mung beans. And it's not the tastiest
Doesn't sound
situation.
amazing.
No, it's meant to be very soft and bland so
not
that your
chocolate
body
cake.
can... Definitely not chocolate cake, although I was pretending it was several times throughout the cleanse.
Visual imagery.
Yeah, but it really opened up my visualization skills for sure. But I remember we went on this field trip for Ayurveda while I was doing this cleanse, and I was getting these like fasting headaches because I love to eat. And so going this week with just eating kachari, I felt great afterward. Don't get me wrong, it was amazing. This
Sure
cleanse.
you did.
I did truly. Afterward, I did. During some questionable moments, but then comes black tourmaline, and we were in this stone shop, and I had in Black Market Minerals, which I highly recommend, and I was just drawn to this black tourmaline. Again, didn't know what it represented, didn't know what it was, but I was like, oh, black tourmaline, what's this about? And so I picked it up, and I noticed that within seconds of holding this stone, my headache just dissolved, just went away. And it was a throbbing headache. I mean, it was very intense, and it went away. And I was like, huh, okay. Again, I thought it was a coincidence. And I put the stone down. About a minute later, my headache came back, throbbing, this time like even more. And I was like, oh my gosh. So out of desperation, I just picked the stone up again, and it went away. And I thought, okay, I can't be making this up. Again, I'm a healthy skeptic, believe it or not. This proved to me that holding this stone, having it in my energetic field, really was doing something for me. It wasn't just wishful thinking. I've never been able to turn off a headache like that before with wishful thinking, but feeling as if I took 4 aspirin just from holding this stone.
So did you keep that stone then?
Oh, yes.
Did you pay for it?
I did pay for it. I did.
Stuck it in my pocket, and then my headache came back.
You definitely don't want bad crystal karma. Absolutely not. Don't steal your crystals. But yes, now black tourmaline is one of my favorite stones, and it's good for so many things, not just physical pain, which of course, after giving it a Google later that day, it's been used through medieval times as a pain reliever. It's known as a protective stone. Usually dark stones, dark crystals tend to have a protective quality for whatever reason, however that works. But black tourmaline is great for blocking electromagnetic junk or kind of like techno crap, as I call it, that comes from computers and phones that we're unaware of. But it is like one of my all-purpose stones. I usually, when I talk to people, I'm like, I'm going to prescribe you 2 tourmalines and a quartz and call me in the morning, let me know how it goes. But it really is one of those stones that open me up to recognize the almost instantaneous healing effects when you're open to it.
That's beautiful. Part of my journey has been ayahuasca ceremony, just having the plant medicine. And when we're doing plant medicine, a lot of times they'll integrate crystals for a protective feeling, for a grounding feeling. Nice. And I've had, a sweet lady gave me a black stone, and she gave it to one of my boys also. We were in ceremony, and it just really helped have that grounded feeling. And so I've enjoyed the energy of the stone for just that calm and that peace and that feeling of grounding.
Absolutely, and it does. And I remember being in that store again, Black Market Minerals, and holding an amethyst. I was going shopping.
I do like that you say that's a store, because people are like, he's on the black market.
I know. You've got to. Yeah, it's a legal store.
It's a store
in Arizona Mills.
It's in Arizona, Tempe, Arizona. You could go to it.
It's amazing. And what I found is the people that work there are all these highly spiritual crystal keepers. There's no mistake. And every time I interact with an employee there, or a team member for Black Market Minerals, they're so knowledgeable and so connected. But I remember I was shopping for a grid, and I had an amethyst in my hand, and I felt so flighty. I was like all over the place. I couldn't, there's a lot going on in that store too. They have treasures from all over the world, including gems, and it's a lot to take in. So I'm all over the place, like my eyes are crossing. And my friend that I was with, my friend Malulani, who's also a crystal whisperer, she's like, you need to give me this amethyst. And she took the amethyst out of my hand and put a hematite egg. Hematite is like a silvery grounding stone. She put it in my hand, and instantly I felt all of that etheric, like woo-woo getting lost up there and dropping back into my body. And I thought, that is amazing. That's amazing when you feel the crystals working. Because again, I can see from an outsider's perspective being like, you're playing with rocks, bro. This isn't doing anything for you. But if you're really open to feel on that subtle level what the crystals are doing, it's amazing. And I know that in the coming years, crystals are going to be mainstream. It's no longer going to be a queer commodity. People are going to use them once we understand just how powerful they are at a more conscious level, because they really do work.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. Give presence to the soul journey, the vibrations that we go through, and the connecting to the earth, because crystals are an earth property. And I imagine if we were on a different planet, we'd be talking about crystals from that, or whatever that dimension was. But talk about this journey. We came to this planet to have something, and there's something connective about that vibration of the crystal in a grounding sense.
Absolutely.
What's your experience in that realm?
Only recently am I recognizing how disconnected we are from the earth. We build our houses on the earth, we build our office buildings on the earth, we drive on the earth, but in today's day and age, rarely are we barefoot connected to this planet, where up until 100 years ago, 200 years ago, that was the cradle of our existence. We came from the earth. We spent thousands of years, maybe hundreds of thousands of years, who knows, being connected to this planet, literally. I mean, eating, sleeping, breathing this planet. And then all of a sudden, modern culture, we're disconnected now. We're in our houses, we're in front of our computers. We are, we don't have time to go out and lay in the grass. And I think that is one of our fundamental problems as a species, is that we've disconnected from our primal roots, quite literally. We need that connection to Earth. And I think crystals can do that in a more refined way. Not many of us want to go back to living in mud huts. I'm one of those people. I love my running water. I love having shoes on my feet.
I like electricity and showers in the morning. Yeah,
absolutely. I love all of that. However, holding a crystal can instantly connect you back to that primal intelligence, that Earth, that 1D kind of genesis of existence. And that's where I think our true wisdom comes from, in these bodies on this journey. If we're disconnected from our planet, then we are disconnected from ourselves. And I think crystals just have a beautiful way of reminding us, even subconsciously, that's where our roots are. That's where we come from.
Yeah. There are some practical things that I've seen people that are working with computers and technology. I know folks that will have specific types of crystals that they'll put in that field. What are some practical things that someone who feels, this really resonates with me as far as all of the crystal talk, but maybe they're curious, are there some recommendations, some practical things of, if you're in this space, use this type of thing. If you're looking for grounding, use this type of thing. What are some things some generalities you can give people?
Absolutely. Well, if you are like so many of us working with computers, working on a phone all day, I work in a call center environment a few days out of the week. And we don't realize how having the phone strapped here, having 3 monitors, cooking our faces all day, how that adds up, and how there are invisible forces that might not be so healthy coming from that type of existence. And so if you are a techno slave in some way, because Lord knows I am, and by choice, first thing I do when I wake up, and even though I'm breaking that habit, I want to jump on my phone. I want to have a screen in my face all the time. And I'm realizing, whoa, this is part of that disconnecting from the planet thing. So if you find that your face is always in a screen, if you are constantly staring into blue light, shungite is an amazing crystal. I mean, again, scientifically proven to block EMF waves, raise waves. Again, we're getting into science, and I'm just
go with the wave, it'll work.
EMF waves, sure, those things. They've done, and microwaves. I mean, they've done tests where they'll take shungite and put it in front of a microwave, and they'll have their little doodad measuring the EMF coming from the microwave. And when they put the shungite in front of the microwave, it goes from, whatever, 100 and something to 0.
Oh, wow.
So shungite, love it.
Good. Yeah.
And shungite has a lot of other healing qualities other than just blocking harmful technology. But also for grounding, black tourmaline, hello, hematite. I love... Oh God, there's so many. This is where I start going into my Rolodex of crystals, and I'm like, but for grounding especially, I would say stick to the darker stones. Stick to a good red stone. Even if you are unaware of what the stone does, if you hold the stone and you feel like you get a grounded feeling, honor that. What an amethyst might make me flighty and send me into the ethers, but for your constitution, for your dosha, all my Ayurvedic friends,
there they are.
It might have a grounding effect. Who knows? You got to experiment. You can't, there's no rule book. And I think anybody that says, oh, this crystal only does this, and this just does this, and just, it's BS. You've got to know personally, just like a drug would affect differently me, or you. It's like, I can take aspirin and be fine. You can take it and it can do damage to your organs. So you have to be present when you're working with crystals to see how you're being affected. But I think grounding is one of the major pieces that can help people for sure.
Oh, that's awesome. Something that was really neat was the intuitive hits that you'd get. And you were also doing toe reading. So give me a little bit of that feel. Did you learn the toe reading through the Swiha school?
Oh God, yes.
Southwest Institute of Healing Arts. If you're new to the show and you haven't heard me talk about it just about every episode recently, it's a great space to learn and to grow. So give me some of that context of the toe reading and then your intuitive hit along with that.
Yeah, absolutely. It was my intuitive abilities, I guess, and my interest in Reiki and energy healing that brought me to Swiha. And then when I got there and I heard about toe reading, I was like, okay, you're kidding me, right? Like, well, what's all this about toe reading? Like, I read cards, I'll read tea leaves, I'll read crystals. Toes, like, okay, I just have to take this class just to say I can read toe reading. Because if there's something you can read, I want to know what it's about.
It's like a party game or something, yeah.
You know,
Sure.
having no idea.
Yeah.
And I heard rave reviews. Everybody's like, oh, toe reading. You've got to check out toe reading. I'm like, okay, let me see what this is about. Because it sounds a little crazy, right? Your toes. Toe reading, really? Toe reading, really? It really is.
It's legit, isn't it?
Legit. And it wouldn't have come into my consciousness a year earlier because I wasn't ready. And I think that if toe reading is coming into your awareness, there's a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm super excited because this month it's October and I have what I call Oktoberfest. And so I really like highlight
see what you did there.
See what I did? TOE Fest, yes. It really has helped me understand myself at a deeper level. Because, you know, the greats throughout history say, know thyself. Who was the philosopher that coined that originally was know thyself? Was that?
It's probably Shakespeare.
Okay, cool. We'll go with Shakespeare. Why not? Yeah, I wouldn't know.
He also he was the master of Ayurveda too, Shakespeare was.
Ah, good to know.
Yeah.
There you go. See,
And he made Google up too.
He was truly a gift to humanity. Really, truly.
And he died for our sins.
Shakespeare died for our sins. Oh God, I got to get back to the theater. Really, I'm a little detached from that. I wonder which crystal would help me do that.
Shakespeareite.
Yeah, Shakespeareite. God, yeah, I think that's undiscovered still. I think that's still beneath us. So toe reading. Oh man, I mean, it's amazing. Just the premise of toe reading. And toe reading has taught me so much, not just in the toes, but looking at life as a metaphor. And knowing that everything is something. And the wisdom that can come from just looking at your own toes and understanding that each toe represents a different aspect of your life. And, you know, the left side is your internal side behind the curtain of life. Your right side is your external side, how you connect with other people and what's on the stage of life, so to speak, Shakespeareanly. So getting that kind of handle that our toes are actually reflecting certain beliefs to us or certain emotional events in our lives that get stored in the toes like they're little emotional USB sticks.
Beautiful.
Blew my mind. And I've had the honor and the blessing to be able to read thousands of toes in the few short years that I've been doing it. I've gone to Celebrate Your Life, which is an amazing event that comes through Phoenix. I was actually asked to go to Chicago with Swiha and read toes, and I think I read, oh gosh, I don't know how many thousands of toes within a couple of days. And I wish I would have brought my grounding crystals then because I had no idea how that was going to send me to another dimension. But the intuitive hits, or what I like to say, the intuitive hits that can come through when you're sitting at someone's feet, there's something very sacred about it. And we look back to the time of Jesus as well, when Jesus would wash someone's feet and the act of humility and of connection with another person. Sitting at someone's feet is a sacred act in itself. So you'll notice, and people understand this subconsciously, they realize that their toes are very telling, so to speak, because sometimes when I sit at people's toes, before they even know what's going on, I'll notice they'll curl their toes under and they'll hide their toes. And that's what I've come to realize, is that your toes, it's almost like seeing someone naked. You're literally seeing someone's soul, S-O-L-E. But I
see what you did there.
It is truly soul work. You're peering into someone's soul. And so people at a subconscious level understand that. So if toe reading is coming into your awareness, or if you're getting a toe reading, don't worry about getting a pedicure. Don't worry about how your feet look. It's really just about connecting in sacred space and seeing the questions that come through. Because that's really what toe reading is. When I look at your toes, I can't tell anything about you, but it does prompt me to ask questions. And so I've used that in all areas of my life, thinking that because I'm an intuitive, I have to have all the answers. If you're an intuitive, you are a channel. I like to say that I become a queer channel, and I open myself up, and sometimes asking a powerful question is much more effective than giving somebody information or telling somebody something.
Yeah, when you find that discovery within yourself, you're like, oh, I realize that's the thing.
That's when it sticks.
Yeah.
So that's what toe reading taught me, is that everything is something, life is a metaphor, and sometimes it's through questioning that you find the answer rather than trying to just like pull it out of the ethers and give someone the answer. You don't have to know anything. I don't have to know a thing about you. But if I look at your toes and I say, tell me about how you feel in your relationships. Do you feel as though there might have been a past relationship that you're carrying with you into the future, that you feel like directs the way you relate to others now? Just asking something like that will open a piece of you that will help the answers come through. And that's really what it's about. So highly recommend toe reading for anybody that is curious about it, because it will change your life.
Beautiful. I want to have Sweet Lady Gail come on set, and I want you to talk with her. If Sweet Lady Gail, are you able to come on set?
Sure.
Okay. Just go get your rocks that you have, the big tower rock. I want to talk about there. and then I want you to do a tarot card reading with her and let her have that experience. Crystals are really important to Gail, and she's really learned a lot, and I would like to bring her aspect to the show and to our journey together. And she's learned a lot about the aspects of how they help her on her journey. So I think that would be a lot of fun.
Oh, I would love that.
So
that would be amazing.
I like to end the show with the guest giving me, if there's one thing that you want people to know, if there's one thing they heard on the show, and this is the most important thing, what is that one thing that you want people to take away from today?
Be queer, baby. Be queer. Don't be afraid to be different. When we look for approval from other people, we're going to be disappointed. And we're always going to need more of it. If you can honor your queer soul, the part of you that came into this world, that's why I call all of my viewers and my clients my queer babies, because every baby that comes into this world comes in queer. They're not worried about what you think about them. They're not worried about fitting in. They are just their authentic, weird selves. I feel like we all have to connect to those weird parts of us that we might otherwise hide or suppress, and give them some breathing space. Let them come out. Don't be afraid to be queer. Don't fear you're queer.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Dude, thanks for being on the show. I want to end with this fun segment that Sweet Lady Gail comes on, and you guys have a little exploration about that. And if you feel led, do a little tarot reading.
I would absolutely love that.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for having me.
This is going to be fun. Let's do a quick transition.
All right.
I am so excited. I got to come on set today. I get to play, and I get to play with rocks. Yay! My favorite thing. So thank you for letting me come on and share a moment.
Thank you.
So I brought some of my favorite things, some of the things that I have at my altar that I meditate at. I've got some amethyst, a beautiful amethyst tree. And this one is like, so the camera can see it. It's a black obsidian with fossils in it. And
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Do some of this.
That's my protection. I actually have loaned that one to my older son just for some of the things that he's going through, to just kind of really help him through that. And so, yeah, I've got the ones that, when I need to speak, I got my blue ones. Hit that throat chakra.
Oh, that
right?
kyanite is banging.
I know.
Oh my God.
And I have my selenite wand, right, to help align my chakras.
It's a staple.
It's a staple. It is. Clearing. Love it for clearing. Last night I was feeling something. It was something that was coming at me, and I was like, all of a sudden I was like nauseous to my stomach. I couldn't figure out what was going on. And I went and got my selenite and cleared it out in my field because I'm like, this isn't mine. I could tell it wasn't. And I know where it was coming from, but I'm like, I wasn't going to own it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, so yes, this and some smudge.
Selenite you later.
Yep. I love that.
Mm-hmm. Bye. Yes. Yes.
I love that.
It's true
So,
though.
yeah.
It's so effective.
I
It's
know.
amazing.
So I, like you, have really enjoyed the times when I pick something up and it's like vibrating in your hand.
Mm-hmm.
There was a time when I was it was right after I had done a past life regression, and I was still kind of vibrating from the experience. And there was a Lemurian crystal, and I picked it up, and it just immediately sunk everything into it. And I asked him, I said, what's this for? He's like, past life healing. And I was just like, wow.
Isn't that amazing?
To just pick something up, like I picked this one up, I don't feel it, I picked this one up, and there's this like literal vibration that's going through your hand. It's amazing.
It is amazing. It is. I remember speaking to somebody who owned a crystal shop, but she just sold crystals because they were beautiful, not because she thought they had metaphysical qualities. And I'm talking to her and I'm like, really? So you don't believe in anything that's like metaphysical? And she's like, well, no. She's like, but sometimes I'll go to touch quartz and they'll zap me. And I'm like, and you still don't believe there's energies going on here? Like, come on, but you feel it.
You do. You really do. And so just the healing, the rose quartz, it kind of feeling that day and, where are we going today? Or, what do I need today to help me get through the day? It's beautiful.
That's crystal communication.
It is.
Oh
I
my
love
gosh,
it.
that is so cool. These are beautiful. It feels totally different having these crystals here too. And of course your energy, but these are some beautiful pieces you got.
Yeah,
Thank you for
thank
sharing
you.
them. So cool.
So I hear that you get to do a reading for me.
Yes. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Okay.
Let's do it.
All right. So are we going to start with tarot or with toes?
You tell me. What would you like to do?
I'm feeling toes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I already tapped into your toes. So
Already tapped in.
tap
Okay.
those right on over here.
All right.
Let's see. Okay.
We're
So
gonna tap into those toes.
first thing I want to say,
Okay.
this whole situation right here,
Uh-huh.
I just want to confirm my initial thought of you that you are a toe reader in the making, my friend. Because you're in my spot, technically. I mean, the toe reader is the one that sits at the feet. So I think you're just getting primed for your toe reading legacy. Okay,
okay.
it's beginning right now, right here. We're gonna have to get you into class, okay, for sure.
I'm sure Cheryl would be very happy to hear that.
Isn't she amazing?
She's
Cheryl
amazing.
Speen,
Her and Casey.
Casey and Janelle Erickson was also a mentor of mine. Yeah, I know. I try to work toe in now to as many words as I can. All of those ladies are incredible with bringing the toe wisdom to the world. I'm forever grateful. And I mean, I don't even know where to begin with your toes. I'm seeing so much
I
here.
know. Okay.
So first of all, I want to ask you, do you have any kind of connection to extraterrestrial energy? Do you resonate with the thought and the idea of extraterrestrials?
Oh my gosh, yes, all
Okay.
the time.
Okay.
I have had times where I am in meditation and I feel like I am like from another planet
Yeah.
and I'm missing home.
Yeah. Do you have an idea of which system you're from?
I don't.
Okay.
I've been there though, through a hypnotherapy session.
I'm not shocked at all. You have what we call ET toes.
Oh!
Yes, and what's so interesting is that your communication toe, for me, is like screaming ET energy. And because I'm really
And that's
getting,
which
your air
toe?
toe is right here, your communication
Okay.
toe. Yes.
Yeah.
And on your left side, I just asked you that because I would be shocked if you told me in some way you've never connected with some kind of extraterrestrial energy or intelligence.
Oh, yeah.
Because for it to be on your communication toe that's given me such this ET feel, I would say that perhaps you do have quite a gift when it comes to connecting and communicating with off-planet intelligence.
Okay.
Okay.
I think I'm working on it.
Yeah, it's I mean, it seems like an intrinsic gift when I'm looking at your toe. Also, I mean, Your ether toes are
Which ones?
fascinating. Your big toes. Your
my
big
big
toes
toes,
are
yes.
the destiny toes or the ether toes, and yours are just magnificent, if I do say so
you.
myself. Yes,
They
they are.
have a lot of character, I think.
Yes, you talk about someone that comes in with a unique destiny, my queer sister. This is beautiful. Yeah, this is so beautiful. But one thing that I'm noticing is that you have a rather large angel kiss on your ether toe. You've been told about this before?
Yes.
What have you learned about your angel kiss?
I know it's an angel kiss, but I don't know. I don't know. Tell me.
Well, I have a couple of questions. I know that someone said, wow, you're very intuitive, obviously, looking at your toes, because you've got the mark of the intuitive. The spaces in between the ether toe and your air toe, the big toe and the toe next to it, when you see spaces there, for me anyway, and other toe readers might read it differently, sometimes people see it as being a visionary, which obviously is true as well, but I definitely see immense intuition in your toes. So you do consider yourself an intuitive person, right?
I do. I'm just working on trusting it.
Well, I'll tell you what, that's interesting that that's what you say, because that's what I really want to talk about with your toes.
Okay.
Because as I look at your ether toe, if you notice right here how there's a bend in your toes, you see that? That line right there is known as the jaw line on the ether toe. And when you see a bend in the toe at that space, it can sometimes represent either talking yourself out of things or dealing with some negative self-talk.
Okay.
So do either of those ring true?
Probably talking myself out of stuff.
Talking yourself out of things. Have you ever talked yourself out of your intuitive hits or intuition?
Oh, yeah. I think so.
I mean, it's a common
Yeah.
story for
Yeah,
people where we're
definitely.
like, we knew that. Why did we talk ourselves out of it? Yeah, why didn't we trust that? But what's so fascinating is that your angel kiss on your ether toe, and what I'm just getting intuitively, is you've spent, oh, this is interesting. I don't think I've ever had this before. I feel as though you've spent many lifetimes being an oracle, being a very intuitive, known for your intuition. And for some reason in this life, it's almost as if you came to dance with doubt. I don't know why that's coming to me. I mean,
I can resonate with that. Okay.
do you feel like you've overcome the doubt, that you've acknowledged it, seen it for what it is, and then walked past the
No,
doubt?
I haven't. I have not.
Because I'm almost getting, it's like you've had all of this soul lineage of being like, yeah, of course, I'm this intuitive, I know this, but it's almost like maybe, what would it feel like to doubt my intuitive power? Almost like you're so powerfully intuitive, maybe in this life, it could have been a choice to maybe doubt some of that intuition on some level.
Have to come over. Oh.
Yeah, to overcome that doubt. But the reason I say that is because you've got so much extra divine help in that area, hence the angel kiss. Being on your destiny toe, right where this bend begins to occur. So despite coming in with amnesia to your own gifts and intuitive prowess, the angels are there helping you, supporting you in reconnecting with talking yourself into what you already know rather than doubting. Or at least that's something that comes through right now that I'm getting. So just know when you do start to dance with doubt, just remember the lifetimes among lifetimes among lifetimes where tribes, whole villages, nations would come to you for your intuitive powers and your intuitive knowings. This is maybe your life to rediscover that for yourself.
Okay.
You know, because too much of a good thing sometimes gets a little boring, right? You know?
I guess you're right.
When you've got all the answers, sometimes dancing with doubt seems like a fun idea.
Yeah, it's like life is not wanting to break open for me, but it's like surrendering and trusting.
Oh, I love that. And I love that you use the words break open. Because I want to share something with you. Is it okay if I get personal and touch your toes?
Yes.
Okay.
You can.
Probably won't like touch my saliva before I touch your toes. I know that's kind of gross. Sorry,
No. You're okay.
I'm honored to touch your feet right now. One thing I just want to point out is that you see this space right here?
Uh-huh.
So the way I see it, is when you have a space on this side between your toes, that is where you share intuition. That's the capacity to share intuition. Where on this side, this space is about receiving intuition. Now, what I've noticed is, even though this space looks a little bit closed, do you see your air toe? How banging this toe is? Do you see how that toe just kind of like stands out there and is a beacon almost? I feel like that toe is an antenna. So even if you have a little bit of talking yourself out of receiving this intuition that you are clearly gifted with, this air toe is like an antenna for not only extraterrestrial intelligence to speak to you, but just a way of tuning in to what you need to know and being able to receive, like a major receiver you've got on this air toe. So, yeah. So one thing that you'll notice though is that if you're talking yourself out of your intuition, the toe tends to bend. Or if you've had a history of talking yourself out of your intuition, the toe bends. And when the toe bends, it blocks that space. And so what you'll see is, as you begin to talk yourself into your intuition, or talk yourself into doing things, into walking the path that intuitively you know is right, you will see these toes begin to open up and break open.
I have been told that when I find my path, my toes will straighten out.
Yes.
And I'm like, keep looking at my toes, and I'm like, I guess I haven't found my path.
Well, now here's the thing. Don't get too down about that, because your toes change all the time. Your toes will change after this reading, but the toes, the feet really, in some ways, can represent the past. So sometimes we keep those scars on our feet just as a reminder. Doesn't always necessarily mean your toes have to be perfectly straight for you to be walking your path. It could be that was just a reminder, like, I once talked myself out of that intuition. Remember that. I once talked myself out of walking my path. Doesn't necessarily mean that if your toe is not perfectly straight that you're off path in some way, okay? But this is like a record of that. But one thing I'm seeing is that this, because again, you have the mark of the optimist here, like amazing optimism, and you've been told that before as well. So I think no matter how much you tend to talk yourself out of things, or maybe walk a path that isn't aligned with your truth, your sense of optimism will always allow you to see the silver lining in any dark cloud, thus bringing you back to alignment. So just know that that is a gift of yours as well, that no matter how dark things get, one of your gifts is to see that silver lining and to realign. So shouldn't be. And with that angel kiss, that's huge. I mean, I hope we can get a shot of your angel kiss, because that angel kiss.
That's what he's talking about right there.
And to be on your ether toe right there, I mean, it is something, again, intrinsic divine help that you came in with to be able to do this dance with doubt and still connect with your intuitive powers. It's pretty phenomenal. But do notice how your toe begins to open up as you talk yourself into your intuition. And again, with a space like this, I'm not shocked that you come through as being like an oracle for a nation with your intuition, because so many people, there's a capacity to share that gift with so many people. Now, I would just love to see you trust your intuition and really use it for you. Receive it for just you. You know, it's, even though you're so gifted and intuitive, it's not your responsibility to save the world. It's not your responsibility to save everyone. Be selfish with your gift as well. It's got to fill your cup first. And once you start, thank you. Because once you start feeling that your cup fill more and more and trusting the guidance that's coming just for you, I think you'll see that space open up a little bit more too. Yeah. Thank you so much for showing me these feet. We can go on for hours with these babies. There are some stories in your toes.
Like 2 toes in.
Oh my gosh, I know, and I'm already seeing things under the toes. We'll have to get together. We'll have to talk toes.
So fun.
Intimately. Yes, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome.
You spoke some beautiful things to me, and you nailed it. And thank you, because there were some things that were blocking me, and now I understand them. So
wow, thank you.
That's beautiful. So
I love how you say you nailed it.
Nailed it.
You're funny.
Now we're going to do a tarot reading, a mini one, because I have a feeling this could like go on for a while too. So here we go.
All right. So I want you to pick up the cards.
Okay.
And I would usually take some time to create a sacred space, but it's here. We are in the sacred space. I can't stop sweating, which is how I know the angels and guides are with us. Yes. So I want you to think, do you have a certain intention, or would you just like to hear what the universe has for you?
Okay. I do have an intention.
Beautiful.
So let's see what the universe has to say.
Okay. Just hold that intention in your heart. And I'm going to ask you to shuffle.
Okay.
And when you feel like the time is right, go ahead and just pull a card. And I don't know what your intention is, but I'm just going to interpret what's coming through the card, okay?
Can I shuffle?
Whatever feels right. Can't do it wrong.
Okay. Because I do like to shuffle this card.
All right, go ahead and flip that over. Let's see what we've got. Oh, wow. Okay. So this is the Eight of Cups. And the Eight of Cups is one of my favorite cards because it was one of the biggest challenges that I've gone through in my life. Being able to really seek something at a deeper spiritual level, and doing that means being able to move in a way, move from the life you've experienced, move from the past that you've known to be your paradigm, so to speak. It's about new paradigms. So this is really about allowing a new chapter to begin and really walking into the face of the unknown. And sometimes that is about really facing some deeper emotions, really being able to honor a truth that is at sometimes inconvenient, being able to know what's best for you and go in that direction. So what I would tell you is whatever's going on in your life right now, it is about cutting heaviness, cutting feelings of being weighed down, moving to a lighter vibration, okay? And so I don't know if this is making sense with your intention, but this is really about moving away from anything that feels like it's keeping you stuck or in a safe place. It's time to get out of your safety zone. Okay? Break from the comfort zone, break from your safety zone, and move in a direction that you've never really tried before. Okay? Familiar territory is not going to get you there. It's got to be breaking into the wild unknown and embracing that the road you're looking down and the road you're about to walk on is dimly lit or perhaps even dark. Because if you look, all he's got is moonlight that's guiding him. And it's funny because the moon in tarot represents intuition. And when we sat here with your toes, it was all about honoring your intuition and overcoming this dance with doubt and honoring what you know to be true and right. So this is telling me it's time to connect with your inner GPS and really trust the direction that your toes are pointing you in now, because it's going to be about a whole new paradigm, a whole new experience that is going to invite a deeper emotional fulfillment for you.
Okay. Pull another one.
Okay. Do you want to?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll be quicker on the second one.
No.
Go ahead.
I want one more step of clarification on that one.
Sure. Wow, okay. So 10 of Pentacles reversed. So when you go to a reversed card, I always say to go to the previous card upright where your answer is, okay? So in this case, it would be the 9 of Pentacles. So this is almost saying, you're not planning on, are you planning on starting a new business or doing something that's coming from your own creation, like something that's an internal passion project or something in that vein?
Not my own, no.
Okay. Well, what I'll tell you is the Nine of Pentacles is a self-employment card, basically. It's about being at one, being with yourself in nature. Do you have a meditation practice? Okay, good. Because I feel like you now making a new decision to go in a new direction in your life or to make a change that involves releasing emotional baggage and becoming lighter is really about connecting with nature. It's not about the money anymore. It's not about the material support, which is what the Ten of Pentacles really represents. It's more about your connection to yourself, your connection to nature, listening to your internal voice. So it's kind of like a time of solitude, a time of connecting with Pachamama, with your crystals, with your stones, to really hear your internal voice. It's not going to be through external validation, external material wealth. It's going to be an internal kind of self-employment. And when I say employment, it doesn't mean just employing to make money, but employing your powers through a place of self, not a place of external validation or external approval.
Okay, beautiful. Beautiful.
I hope that makes sense. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So,
thank you for doing this with me.
I'm like just trying to take it all in and everything that you said. I'm so glad this is on video because I need to absorb a lot of this.
Yeah, there's so much energy moving through here and I can't.
Know.
Wow.
So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for
so
being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
We appreciate it so much. And guys, please, your website?
www.crystalqueer.live.
Okay, .live.
.live,
Okay.
I know, because I go live on Facebook.
Yes.
That's where you can really connect with me and see me do free readings for people. So if you search Crystal Queer Live on Facebook, you'll see my Facebook page.
Perfect.
And you can catch the live videos and we have a good time.
Okay, so what is one takeaway that you can give to our guests out of everything that was said here today? One thing that you want the audience to know?
Well, I really think the most important thing is to be your queer self, okay? Be your queer self. But another thing that comes through is kind of what your reading inspires here. Push yourself beyond your limits. Don't try to be comfortable. Don't try to look for people to understand you or to approve of what you're doing. Get in touch with your inner compass. If it flies in the face of your religion, of your church, of your family, and your tribe, F them. Go in the direction of what is best for you, even if it's scary, even if the road is dark, you will be able to illuminate your own path with your truth.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. This is amazing.
I'm David Marsh, and you've been watching Exploring the Human Journey on YouTube as a video and listening as a podcast. If you would like to help continue the conversation, please consider supporting us by visiting patreon.com, where you can support us on a monthly basis and get extra bonus content. For as little as $1 a month, you can make this show sustainable and help continue spiritual consciousness. You can also help by following us on Facebook and Instagram. For more information about the show, find us online at exploringthehumanjourney.com.